So you want to be a tanker in World of Tanks console? Okay, no problem. But first, there's some things you need to know. This game is not a race to the higher tiers. It doesn't give you a high score for reaching tier 10 the quickest way possible. There is a lot to learn in this World of Tanks, things that will be essential to your success on the battlefield. Vehicle tactics, map strategy, utilizing resources, managing your tank crews. There's a lot of information that'll come at you, and at times it might seem overwhelming. Don't fret. I'm Mobius Y, and I'm here to help. I was a new tanker once, just like you. We all are at some point. These videos are geared towards the new blood for the World of Tanks console version. The kind of new blood that desires to learn and improve, and be the best console tanker they can be. If that includes you, stick around. These tips could quickly give you an edge on the battlefield. Hey fellow tankers, this is Mobius Y speaking. In the previous video of New Tanker Tips, I showed you how you can personalize the controls in World of Tanks console to a setting that you feel comfortable with, as well as how you can test out those controls. By now, you should be familiar with moving your tank, aiming the turret, and firing the cannon. This video will cover the more advanced controls you can perform while playing World of Tanks. Before I begin, I'd like to point out that I will be using Control Scheme B as a reference. This is the control scheme I've used myself since World of Tanks launched on the Xbox 360. Understand that the buttons used for various actions may be slightly different for you if you are using an alternate control scheme. As mentioned, you should already have an understanding of moving your tank and aiming the gun using both sticks and triggers. Now I'm going to cover some more commands that you can utilize in battle by using some of the other buttons on your controller. Let's start off with more movement and aiming options. The cruise control has a few ways to be activated. Some of the control schemes have cruise control set to clicking the left stick or pressing the B button. For my control setup using Scheme B, cruise control is both up and down on the D-pad. Up on the D-pad activates forward cruise control, while down on the D-pad activates reverse cruise control. If cruise control is already on, it can be deactivated by pressing one of the cruise control buttons again, or by pressing the movement stick forwards or backwards. Cruise control can be very useful when you have a lot of ground to cover. With cruise control activated, your tank will always move forwards or backwards at the maximum speed it can reach. Be aware that your tank will travel a lot slower going uphill than if it is on flat terrain or even traveling downhill. Using cruise control ensures your tank is going as fast as possible at all times. When you are in third-person camera, pressing the camera zoom function will adjust the field of view around your tank. There are 3 levels of camera zoom when in third-person view. I suggest you use one which is comfortable to you. For Control Scheme B, this is done by clicking the right stick. Clicking the camera zoom function while in the first-person aiming mode will also zoom the camera in much further. Again, with Control Scheme B, this is done by clicking the right stick. This zoom function is really useful for when you're trying to shoot at targets from a long range, and will make your tanking life a lot easier. This function also applies to artillery when aiming with the artillery overhead view. The auto-aim and lock turret functions are both activated by the right bumper. Pressing the right bumper will automatically lock your gun onto the enemy target closest to the camera center. This feature is indispensable for tankers with a need for speed, as it allows you to lock your gun onto your new target enemy automatically and lets you focus on where you're driving. By holding the right bumper, you activate the lock turret function. Locking the turret does exactly what it says. It locks your turret and the gun from moving. This is handy for when you want to have a look around your tank, but still want to keep your turret and your gun pointing in a certain direction. If you press left on the D-pad, you can toggle the hull lock function on and off. Hull lock is a feature most used on artillery and tank destroyer vehicles that do not have a mounted turret. With hull lock off, your turretless vehicle will automatically turn its entire hull in the direction your camera is facing. If hull lock is on, you can freely move the camera around in third-person view or overhead artillery view, but your tank will not turn itself until you use the left stick to do so manually. I suggest you try playing with both hull lock on and off to decide which you prefer. If you'd like to start every game with hull lock on, you can go to the Game tab in the Options menu and check off the TD Start Hull Lock On and Artillery Start Hull Lock On options. With these checked off, your games in turretless tank destroyers and artillery will automatically have hull lock activated. The reload shell container action is a special function reserved for tanks with autocannons and autoloader magazines. By pressing this button, you will refill your tank's autoloader magazine to full capacity. Keep in mind, if your magazine is already full, this button will do nothing. If you are missing even one shell, you can manually force a full reload at any time by pressing Reload Shell Container. Switching ammo types is activated with the A button if using Control Scheme B. Switching ammo types does just that. It reloads your tank's gun with the new shell type you have selected. Remember that doing this will always start a full reload process, so if you're using an autoloader gun with a long reload, be prepared. Lastly, we have radial commands. These are a quick and effective way to communicate with your teammates regardless of whether or not you have a communicator microphone. Holding the left bumper will activate the radial command menu. From there, you can use the triggers or the X and B buttons to select which type of radial command you're looking for. Once you've found it, hold the left stick in the direction of the command you want to use, then release left bumper. An icon will appear above your tank and on the map, as well as a brief message to the rest of your team. There are some commands that can be automatically activated by tapping the left bumper. It depends on if you are aiming your camera at a friendly teammate or an enemy tank. The final set of commands are on the X, Y, and B buttons for the most part. These are your supply slot items. We'll go over those in more detail with a future video. That's it for this episode of New Tanker Tips. If you're a new tanker, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you're already a grizzled veteran of the World of Tanks battlefield, feel free to show this to your friends who are new to the game. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.